welcome to Black Bear Atheist. Now, I wasn't planning on doing Christian YouTube channels early on. I was just gonna focus on actual apologetics that goes out there to debate people, not YouTubers. Cause they're worst. They are worse in many ways. I tried to find the original video on cross-examination to actually talk about it, but since they didn't put the link in the video, and the cross-examination has about 2k videos, I am not going through that, so I'm gonna just respond to him, end the video. This is the by the book minister, which I'm gonna refer to by the book of BS, cause that's what it is, and that's basically what he did in this video. So, let's get it. I hope you enjoy.
I'm curious to know what definition of atheist you're using. As you know, there's probably like different definitions that people use when they use the atheist label. When you say that you don't have enough faith to be an atheist, which definition are you using?
Well, the title is playing off the traditional sort of definition that people think faith means. Faith, they think, means when you don't have any evidence, you just believe it blindly.
That is what faith means. That's the definition of faith. It's a blind faith. Faith is believing without evidence. If you need evidence and you get evidence to believe something, then you're not believing on faith, Frank. That you're not making any sense. You're confusing people by lying. Faith is when you believe something without sufficient or any evidence. It's like me believing the earth is flat. There is no evidence for that. It's just people BSing. Moving on.
That's what the title is using, but that's not the definition of faith. The real definition of faith is trusting in what you have good evidence to believe.
Yeah.
So we're just playing off a title. So traditionally, atheists have said, I believe there is no God.
Yeah, I think this is a straw man. I don't know who the fuck he's saying. I believe there is no God 100% for sure. Moving on.
There's some atheists now saying, oh, I just lack a belief in God.
Yeah.
And I just think.
Because that's what it is, a lack of belief. You made a claim, there is a God, and we say, I don't think so. You need to support your claim. We're not making a claim here.
I think that's a cop-out, and it doesn't say anything about the real world. It says something about the atheist psychological state, but
Yes, it does say something about the real world. If you come to me and you say, I fly yesterday, the next question I would ask is, on a plane? And if you say, no, like Superman, I fly, you need to present evidence for that.
it's not saying anything about whether or not.
I'm not at fault for not believing you. You need to present evidence for the strong claim that you just made. I don't need to present evidence to claim that your claim. I don't need to present evidence to say I don't believe what you're saying. You need to prove yourself. Prove what you're saying, not me.
God exists. So I don't think that's a good definition of atheism.
Yeah. So I am one of those atheists that would say I lack belief. I'm not willing to say I know there's no God. Am I exercising faith? Would you say?
Well, let me ask the question this way then. Here's the proposition. God exists. Do you agree with that proposition? Do you disagree with that proposition? Or do you not know?
I don't know.
Okay, so you're an agnostic then.
Yeah, that's what he said. That's what he implies.
I'm an agnostic atheist.
He's an agnostic atheist. Yeah. Frank, you're not winning anything.
Yeah, agnostic. You don't know.
Initially, the guy said he lacked the belief in God, but when Frank...
I don't even know how to introduce this guy. I found him like a month ago, just looking through his videos, commenting. He is very, very annoying. He is apparently a pastor, and you're gonna see how terrible he handled this video.
Frank pushed back. He eventually admitted that he didn't know if God existed or not. And that's an intellectually honest position.
Because that's the best position to take.
And an honest person would be a seeker, and they will follow the overwhelmingly convincing evidence that Jesus Christ lived, died, and was resurrected from the dead.
No, he lived, he died. The resurrection, there is no evidence for that. And you're calling yourself a honest person. You're saying an honest person will come to a conclusion that my God is real.
They will follow the evidence where it leads. Now let's see if this is a intellectually honest person.
Yeah, agnostic. You don't know.
Yeah.
An atheist would be somebody who says, I'm pretty sure there's no God. An agnostic says, I don't know, could be, maybe not.
I don't know if follow-ups are allowed, but in the book you acknowledge that there's not perfect evidence, like there's not enough evidence to be perfectly sure there's a God. But you're still justified in being theist because there's enough evidence. Yeah. So that would be an agnostic theist, right? Somebody who doesn't know but believes. Would you allow the same for an atheist to say, I'm not convinced that a God exists, but I'm not saying that I know there's not.
Well, I think the preponderance of the evidence beyond, for me, a reasonable doubt is that God exists.
Okay. So then you're not an agnostic theist. Why did you agree to that?
Could I be wrong? Of course I could be wrong. This could be...
What? What?
We could be in the Matrix, right? There's no way of knowing we're not in the Matrix. You got to get outside the Matrix to know that. Now, I just think that's silly, but it's possible.
I just think that's silly, but it's possible. It's possible. Yet you believe in a God with no evidence. Yet you don't understand what faith means.
Yeah. Okay. So let me ask you then: if historic Orthodox Christianity were true, would you become a Christian?
No. And I think this guy understands what was gonna happen here, and that's why he tries to not answer the question. He answered the question, but in his way, in a way to make it make sense to someone like Frank. But I would have just clearly say no. Your God is full of shit. You're full of shit.
Define Christian. like
Following Jesus' commands and trusting in him for your salvation. Jesus said, if you love me, you'll keep my commandments.
Yeah.
Also, the question is dumb. It's dumb.
I would say it would. I would need more information. I would become.
No, if it were true.
Yeah. I'm saying then it would depend on what his commands are, whether I agreed with them. So I don't think it's...
Wait. Sorry. So you're saying if God existed and you disagreed with his commands, you wouldn't...
Yeah, of course.
I like what he did here. Yes, of course. If God told me to do some shit that I don't want to do, I am not doing it. Whether your God exists or not. If your God exists and he told me to do something that I do not want to do, and I don't believe it's moral, I am not doing it.
You would go your own way.
Of course.
Okay. God gives you the free will to do that. But is that a rational position?
I think so.
Why? How?
As a hypothetical, if he asked me to murder my son, I wouldn't do it.
Okay. And?
So I think that's rational to disobey if he asked me to do something.
But if you knew it was God?
Yeah, even if I knew it was God.
And you knew that God could resurrect your son?
Yep.
Notice at first he
Yeah. I would not even think about it, because what the fuck? So because he could resurrect my son, that means I can follow him in his crazy ass action, psychopathic, asking me to kill my son. I am not gonna do that. He can fuck himself.
framed his position by saying he doesn't believe there's enough evidence to believe that God exists. But when Frank asked him if God did exist, and he asked him to sacrifice his child, knowing that he has the power to resurrect life, God is there, he said he still wouldn't follow God's commands or do what he says.
Now, I wish I could ask this and he could answer this to me. Would he sacrifice his son? He is sounding like he would. That is not okay. This is the story of Jephthah. Okay, I don't know how to pronounce his name, so I'm gonna just not try. So, this is a sad story, and I just found this out recently. So this guy promised God to sacrifice whatever comes out of his door. And guess who came out when he came home from war? It was his daughter. And he sacrificed his daughter to God. God did not stop him. God did not resurrect the child. He ended up killing his own daughter for God. That is not normal. And that is exactly what this wacky ass pastor by the book of bullshit is preaching. Let's continue.
He still wouldn't follow God. This proves that this is not an evidence issue, but a heart issue.
No, it doesn't prove that. His argument is still valid.
See, a lot of atheists believe they are more moral than God.
They are more moral than God. Because none of us will flood the entire planet.
But they don't have a moral standard without God.
I think that's rational to disobey if he asked me to do something.
But if you knew it was God,
yeah, even if I knew it was God.
and you knew that God could resurrect your son.
Yep.
See, the whole Abraham thing is a foreshadowing of Jesus on the same mountain, Mount Moriah.
Mm.
And God stops Abraham, but he doesn't stop Jesus from.
Also, who gives a fuck if God stops Abraham? The thing here is that God asked Abraham to do it. That is fucked up. And the fact that Abraham decided to do it just shows which kind of people God decided to show himself to. A fucked up mind.
Being killed because Jesus is the sacrifice. He's the lamb.
Mm-hmm.
But is God going to ask you to kill your son?
Who knows?
No, it's just a hypothetical. I'm just using it as
but
a...
given where we are now, we're past all the revelation in that regard.
Yeah.
If it were really true that Jesus is the Savior and loves you and wants to have a love relationship with you, would you enter that?
You see how much hypothetical is allowing for his dumb argument to make the guy look bad? And then the guy made one hypothetical and he is saying that is most likely not true. That is not gonna happen. In a sense, shoving it away like it doesn't matter. But it does. It does.
That love relationship and accept what he's done.
Again, I think that I need more information about whether, like, what he's asking you to do and whether I agree with it. But I would, of course, believe in God if I was presented with enough evidence.
Okay, so if I gave you a book, would you read it? Because he already has one.
No, I will not read it, Frank. I don't need to read your book. I've watched way too much of video. Hell, I've watched way too much of your video to not know all your arguments. Just reading it in a book does not make a difference. I've seen you actually have conversations with people for hours. So that is more than enough.
What? The book? This book?
This book?
Yeah, I've read it.
Or
Yeah.
Stealing from God.
I've read this one. I haven't read Stealing from God.
All right.
I'd be willing to.
If I did.
Also, the idea that we are stealing from God, our moral standard is stolen from God, when mm, it's more like God is stealing from us.
Give it to you?
Challenge accepted.
Okay,
Yeah.
beautiful.
This is the perfect example of a hard heart and a blinded mind. The
No, it's not. And what the fuck is that?
idea of having a love relationship with Christ didn't move him because his heart is hard towards God. And despite knowing that
He said is an agnostic atheist, meaning he doesn't know if there is a God, but the evidence is not pointing towards one. What the fuck? Does he have a hard heart too? Hard heart. Like, make some sense, man. He doesn't believe there's a God, so there's no hard heart to anything.
God has the power to resurrect life, he would still willingly disobey God because he believes he is his own moral standard. His mind is blinded. He and many others are fulfilling prophecies like this. Matthew 13:14 and 16
Of course, they end up quoting their Bible, the classic Roman.
says, indeed, in their case, the prophecy of Isaiah is fulfilled that says, you will indeed hear, but never understand. You will indeed see, but never perceive. For this people's heart has grown dull. In their ears they can barely hear, and their eyes they have closed, lest they
I guess they don't understand that God created us, so however we are designed is by God's design in their worldview and their ideal according to their Bible. So if we are blind, that means God made us blind. If we don't understand, that means your God makes sure we do not understand. I think Christians forget the fact that Pharaoh would have let the people of God go. But guess who show up in the story and close his mind? God. Guess who has the power to do that? God. Not the devil, but God.
should see with their eyes and hear with their ears and understand with their heart and turn, and I would heal them. But blessed are your eyes, for they see, and your ears, for they hear. For some people, all we can do is pray that God opens his eyes, his ears, and softens his heart, and be all the more grateful that God did that for us. A true atheist will admit.
What the fuck? See, he just admit to exactly what I said. God opened their heart and their eyes and their ears, but God is not doing the same for us. Meaning God is the one that can open the gate. God is the one that can help anyone understand. But yet he decide not to help atheists. That seems like a God issue.
There is no purpose, hope, or rationality in atheism, even morality.
Well, it's gonna play a second part, and I'm not here for that. I'm not about to like ruin my entire day. Yes, there's rationality in atheism. There's no objective value or purpose to life. Whether you believe in God or not, that's how you're living your life. I mean, you are on YouTube doing YouTube videos. I say that is not even close to what the Bible wants you to do. Yes, Jesus said, go outside and preach to the world. But last time I checked, he said the entire Bible is dedicated to, knowing God more and worshiping God. When you die, you're gonna end up worshiping God for eternity. So YouTube is a waste. Get off YouTube and go worship God, because that's exactly what your Bible is saying. You not doing that just shows how subjective purpose is. We have survived on this planet thus far by making life whatever we want to make it. Christians are not special. Muslims are not special. Non-religious people are not special. We are all humans. and we make our own purpose, value, and other shit. Christianity does not hold the door to happiness. By the book of bullshit, stop bullshitting everyone.